Hello and welcome to the final episode of the Smash Archive, the series where we look at every franchise featured in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Well, the time has finally come to wrap up this series, and what could be a better endpoint than to look at the content pulled from Super Smash Bros. Itself. Not much to really say about what we're covering this time around. It's pretty much just going to be everything that was either an original creation for Ultimate or a previous entry in the Smash series. So with that very brief discussion out of the way, let's get this started. After finishing development of Kirby Superstar in 1996, developer and creator of the Kirby series, Masahiro Sakurai, decided he wanted to start work on some potential new IPs. One of these ideas being the concept for a 4-player fighting game for the Nintendo 64 that would be designed to be beginner-friendly. The idea coming about after an experience he had, where after getting a winning streak on a KOF 95 arcade cabinet, he ended up feeling guilty upon realizing the person he was playing against was a beginner and their partner. This ended up leading to a design that ditched the usual skill gaps of fighting games that prioritize learning and memorizing command inputs and combos to instead be a test of speed and reactions, with the end goal to win matches being to rack up damage on an enemy to launch them off screen, instead of the usual depletion of a health bar, resulting in attacks that are simple to pull off, only requiring 2 buttons and a direction, but have depth in how they can be used together to form strategies to win matches. He would soon get assistance from Satoru Iwata, and after presenting a pre-alpha build to HAL Laboratory, one employee suggested a method that could help market the game would be to include famous Nintendo characters as parts of the roster, something Sakurai was initially hesitant over, but was later convinced and recognized could help welcome in people by featuring characters they already recognized. Since he knew Nintendo likely wouldn't greenlight the idea, it was decided to instead make a prototype in secret, which was then presented towards the end of 1997, showcasing matches between Mario, Donkey Kong, Samus, and Fox McCloud. Nintendo soon after greenlit the project, with more developers at HAL joining Sakurai and Iwata over time, with the final game releasing in 1999 as Nintendo All-Star Great Fray Smash Bros. In Japan, and internationally as Super Smash Bros. Though to help better distinguish it from later entries, nowadays it's more commonly referred to as Smash 64. Super Smash Bros. Proved to be a massive hit, earning heavy amounts of praise for its original take on fighting games, effectively pioneering what's now referred to as the platform fighter subgenre, with it being reported to have sold over 5 million copies, making it the 5th best-selling N64 game, as well as the best-selling game that was never bundled with the system. As is fairly common for most franchises featured in Ultimate, given this is the first game in the series, there's a good amount of content pulled from the original Super Smash Bros. To begin, we have 2 stages, the first of these being Battlefield, a series recurring stage consisting of 1 large main floor along with 3 small floating platforms, with early games depicting it as flowing through space or some kind of void, but from Brawl onwards it's been modeled to be a more literal battlefield. Despite its stance as a series tradition, in Smash 64, not only does this stage only appear in the game's 1-player mode, referred to in later games as Classic Mode, but it was instead titled Duel Zone, with it serving as the place where you battle against the fighting Polygon team, with the stage serving as the place where you fight the team's various successors in later entries, whether that be the fighting Wireframes in Melee, the fighting Alloys in Brawl, or the fighting Mii team in Smash 4 and Ultimate. The other stage is Final Destination, which layout-wise is effectively just Battlefield without the floating platforms, though unlike Battlefield, this stage has managed to stick with its original theme of a floating platform flying in space. This one was also a one-player mode only stage in Smash 64, this time serving as the arena where you fight the mode's end boss, Master Hand, with it still serving that role as the final stage of Classic Mode and Master Hand's home to this day. Next are 12 music tracks, with the song that plays during the game's How to Play video, the main menu theme, two versions of the character select screen music, with both the original song and an arrangement from Smash 4, which was used for the versus match results screen. Final Destination's theme, which also doubles as Master Hand's theme, three versions of the credits theme, with the original song, a remix from Brawl, and a remix from Smash 4, which also incorporates the character select theme the bonus game theme, which plays during the various mini-games included in the single-player mode, the theme for the stage Meta Crystal, where the player fights Metal Mario, theme for the stage Duel Zone, which as mentioned earlier is the original rendition or precursor to Battlefield. And the training mode theme. After that, there's 8 items. Barrel, a heavy container which can be rolled across the floor by attacking it, with its destruction causing various items to spawn, along with a small chance that it will just explode. The barrel's design can also change depending on which stage you're on, either being a regular wooden barrel, a futuristic metal barrel, or a cylindrical present. Beam Sword, an energy sword which resembles various sci-fi weapons, most obviously a lightsaber from Star Wars, which operates as a standard battering item that can increase its range during certain attacks. Bumper, based on bumpers featured in pinball machines. After being thrown, this thing will push back any fighter that touches it with a lot of force, potentially being able to KO an opponent with enough knockback. Capsule, a small container which can be thrown and broken to spawn another item, with it also having a small chance to explode. Crate, effectively the same thing as the previously discussed barrel item, down to having 3 cosmetic versions based on which stage you're on, the only difference being you can't roll it. Home Run Bat, a baseball bat which features a unique side smash that has a long wind up, but if it manages to hit a player is an almost guaranteed one-hit kill. Otherwise it functions similarly to all other battering items. Motion Sensor Bomb, a bomb which can be thrown onto the ground and will then explode when a player walks over it. Interestingly enough, in Smash 64 and the international version of Melee, the item was actually modelled after the proximity mines from 007 GoldenEye, with the Japanese version of Melee basing them on Perfect Dark's version of the bomb, but from Brawl onwards it's used designs original to Smash. And Ray Gun, an energy-based firearm that can shoot up to 16 times in rapid succession, with the individual hits being fairly weak in terms of both damage and knockback, but can be changed together fairly easily. Then there's the boss, Master Hand, a giant floating right hand which has appeared throughout the Smash series as the final boss of Classic Mode, with Ultimate being no exception, where Master Hand is the end boss for the vast majority of Classic Mode routes, along with being fought multiple times in Ultimate's Adventure Mode, World of Light. As for his attacks, in Ultimate his moveset consists of being able to swipe across the stage, slamming the player from above, shooting bullets via a finger gun, drilling into the stage, shooting 5 energy projectiles from the background before returning with a flying punch, dragging a finger across the floor to create spikes, throwing paintballs, flying into the player from the background, shooting laser beams from his fingertips, creating a series of mirrors that reflect one laser beam, throwing 2 rings across the stage, stunning the player by snapping his fingers, throwing a series of spike balls, grabbing and crushing the player, all on top of being able to teleport. Finally, there's spirit number 1095, Master Hand, a 3-slot ace primary neutral spirit. The artwork is original to Smash Ultimate, which in addition to once again having him as a boss, also marks the first time Master Hand was made playable through official means, as opposed to previous entries where you could only play him through glitches or hacking the game. Namely, the penultimate level of the game's World of Light mode sees you control Master Hand as he fights an army of 50 light and dark puppet fighters. Almost immediately after Smash 64 released, conceptual work for a sequel had already started, even before the team had access to dev kits for Nintendo's next console, the GameCube, with confirmation of the game's existence being made at E3 1999, with the initial trailer dropping at E3 2001, with it being titled Great Phrase Smash Bros. Deluxe in Japan and Super Smash Bros. Melee internationally. The game would end up being made from start to finish in the span of just 13 months in order to get it out in time for the GameCube's launch window, resulting in a rather hellish development time with next to no holidays and short weekends, with side effects of this development still being found in the final product, from various glitches, some of which became popular tech in Melee's competitive scene, to just under half of the game's 14 new characters being clones, named such due to them being just slightly modified versions of other fighters that were already in the game. Despite these shortcomings, Melee would end up getting universal praise for its improvements over 64, making the gameplay faster with more attacks and stuff to do, and would end up becoming the GameCube's best-selling title with 7.4 million copies sold, along with developing an incredibly loyal competitive scene that's still active to this day. Melee has around the same amount of offerings as Smash 64 did, so whilst not a massive jump up, it still means there's quite a lot of content pulled from this game. To start off, there's 20 music tracks, with 2 versions of the game's main theme, which plays during the opening movie, with both the original song and an arrangement from Brawl. Two versions of the song used for the How to Play movie, with the original song and a new remix for Ultimate. Three versions of the main menu theme, with the original rendition and 2 Brawl remixes, one that was used for the Battlefield stage and another that plays throughout the game's boss battle mode. An alternate main menu theme, which itself is a remix of the opening. Versions of Battlefield's theme, with Brawl's rendition of the song as well as a remix from Smash 4. Melee's Final Destination theme, which itself is a rendition of Smash 64's credits theme. Giga Bowser's theme, which is a remix of Final Destination. Both Multi-Man Melee themes, which are both remixes of the main theme. The song used for the Target Test and Home Run Contest minigames. The theme for fights against metal characters in Classic and Adventure mode. The song that's used for all modes associated with trophies. Two tracks which can play in between matches during a tournament. the theme for the rest area from the game's All-Star mode, which itself is a remix of the save area theme from Kirby Superstar and Float Islands from Kirby's Dream Land. Then there's 3 items, with food, a group of healing items which, as the name suggests, are various pictures of food which can restore a small percentage of health. In Ultimate, the exact values range from the cherries, which restore 1%, all the way up to the roast turkey, which heals 15%. Party Ball, a container which can be opened by either picking up and throwing or attacking it, which will cause the ball to float upwards, flash red, and then open up to drop items, with it having the chance to either be a random mix, only food items, only bob-ombs, or on rarer cases, it just explodes and drops nothing. And the Sandbag, which in Melee only appeared in the game's Home Run Contest mode, which consists of trying to rack up damage on it in order to launch it as far as possible. The Sandbag would then become an item starting in Brawl, where by attacking it, it has the chance to drop random items. After that, there's 2 bosses. The first of these is Crazy Hand, the left-hand counterpart to Master Hand, which as its name suggests features more erratic and chaotic attacks and movements. With it showing up in Melee to fight the player if, during Classic mode, they manage to reach the end and deplete Master Hand's health in under 5 minutes and 50 seconds since the run starts on normal difficulty or higher. In Ultimate, Crazy Hand is fought multiple times in World of Light, and in Classic mode, he serves as the end boss for Falco and Ken's routes, with him also fighting alongside Master Hand either by default or if the difficulty is over 7.0 when the player reaches the final stage for the majority of routes. In addition to getting modified versions of Master Hand's Slap, Drill, Airplane, Finger Beam, Grapple, and Teleport attacks, he gets a few unique attacks, which include dropping a spread of bombs, an extended finger poke that freezes, creating a glare that will track and try to stun the player, creating a series of fireballs that spin around him, creating black holes that meteor smash if you get caught, dig up the ground, squirm on the ground, and spider walk across the stage. In addition, there's a handful of unique attacks that he can perform alongside Master Hand, with a punch catch, both hands firing off beams at the same time, crazy brushing the stage whilst Master Hand punches above, creating a dog that barks at the player, rubbing against each other to release electricity across the stage, and zooming in the screen causing the blast zone to shrink. As well as Giga Bowser, a monstrous kaiju version of Bowser that served as the secret end boss to Melee's adventure mode, which can only be fought if the player manages to reach the end and defeat Bowser within 18 minutes on normal or higher. In Ultimate, Giga Bowser is fought in the Molten Fortress sub-area in World of Light, as well as Mario, Captain Falcon, and Sephiroth's classic mode routes, with his moveset unsurprisingly being the same as Bowser's for the most part. The only real differences being the additional damage, certain attacks doing elemental damage, and some moves being based on his earlier moveset from Melee and Brawl, as opposed to his Smash 4 and Ultimate one. To end off, there's 3 spirits, all of which take their artwork from Smash Ultimate. Number 1093, Sandbag, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Critical Health Defense Up. As mentioned earlier, after its debut in Melee, the Sandbag would become a series recurring item, along with Home Run Contest being a regularly recurring mode, though it wasn't in Smash Ultimate until the version 5 update in September 2019. Number 1096, Crazy Hand, a 3-slot ace primary neutral spirit. Whilst Crazy Hand still appears as an optional boss in later games' classic modes, he now appears at the start of the match alongside Master Hand instead of when the latter is at half health, with him showing up in Brawl if the player manages to reach the final stage in under 9 minutes on hard or higher, Smash 4 if the player gets to the end with the difficulty being 3.0 or higher, and Ultimate at 7.0 or higher. And number 1097, Giga Bowser, a 3-slot advanced primary neutral spirit with the effect Fire Attack Up. Whilst Ultimate marks Giga Bowser's return as a boss, he's still been a series recurring character by serving as Bowser's final smash, since the concept was introduced in Brawl. At the E3 2005 pre-show, Satoru Iwata, who is now Nintendo's 4th president and CEO, announced that a brand new Smash Bros. Game would be releasing for their then upcoming system, the Wii, which came as a shock to Sakurai as he was promised that if a new Smash game had entered development, he would be brought back as the game's director, following his decision to leave HAL Laboratory in 2003. Not too long after, he was then called to meet with Iwata to see if he wanted to direct a new game, the plan being that if he said no, they'd just re-release Melee with an online mode. And at E3 2006, the game would be officially revealed as Great Fray Smash Bros. X in Japan and Super Smash Bros. Brawl internationally. The development now being handled by Sora Limited, Sakurai's personal company which he uses to conduct business with others, alongside various staff members from HAL, Game Arts, Monolith Soft, Payon, and Intelligent Systems. Brawl would end up taking various steps forwards for the series, introducing the stage builder, online matches, a full-blown story mode with animated cutscenes called the Subspace Emissary, and would feature the series' first foray into third-party characters, with Metal Gear Solid Snake appearing at the end of the E3 reveal, whilst a delay for the game's release to 2008 was announced alongside the inclusion of Sonic the Hedgehog. Despite some pushback from the competitive scene, mainly due to combat generally being slower, floatier, and with less emphasis on combos, it otherwise saw near universal praise from all the media outlets and general audiences, getting reviews either equal to or better than Melee, along with managing to sell over 13 million copies, making it the 8th best-selling Wii game. Do you know how much content was added when compared to previous games? Along with it being the best-selling entry at the time of Ultimate's release, there's substantially more content from Brawl. First we have 24 music tracks, with Brawl's main theme, which plays during the opening movie and credits, the main menu theme, the main theme for Brawl's rendition of Battlefield, alternate theme for Battlefield. The theme for Brawl's version of Final Destination. The theme for Cruel Smash, the hardest rendition of the series' recurring multi-man Smash mode. The credits theme from the ending of Subspace Emissary, which itself is a medley of Smash 64's credits theme, Melee's menu theme, Melee's opening theme, and Brawl's main theme. The song used for the Target Smash mode, the song used for Subspace Emissary's map screen, which is a remix of Smash 64's Character Select theme. Step the Plane, a song that plays throughout various levels of Subspace Emissary, most notably The Plane. Step Subspace, the first of 3 subspace level themes. Step Subspace version 3, the third and final subspace level theme. Boss Battle Song 1, the track used for the boss fights against Gallium and Duon in Subspace Emissary. Boss Battle Song 2, which plays during the final boss fight against Taboo. A short fanfare for the Home Run Contest mode. The song used whilst viewing the trophy gallery. The song used whilst viewing the sticker album, the album, and the Chronicle. Theme for the coin launcher minigame. The Stage Builder theme. Tournament registration, which plays while setting up a tournament. Tournament grid, which plays between tournament matches. Tournament match end, which plays at the end of a tournament. All-Star Mode's rest area theme. And the song that was used whilst on the practice stage for Brawl's online mode. Next up is 7 items, with the Assist Trophy, an item which will summon a random character to help the player who called them, effectively being a version of the Pokeball item to summon characters that aren't from Pokemon, with Ultimate featuring 59 possible assists, including Waluigi, Shadow the Hedgehog, the Majora's Mask Moon, and many others. Blast Box, an item similar to the crate, except it's always guaranteed to explode after taking enough damage, with it instantly exploding if hit with a fire-based attack. Gooey Bomb, a bomb that sticks to whoever it's thrown at, with it being possible for them to transfer the bomb to other players by coming into contact with them. Rolling Crate, a modified version of the crate which features small wheels on the bottom, allowing it to roll across the floor if hit with an attack that doesn't destroy it, with fighters taking damage if hit by the moving crate based on how fast it's going. Smash Ball, a rainbow-coloured Smash logo which randomly moves across the screen, and if a player attacks the ball enough to destroy it, they can then press the special attack button to perform their final smash, a large-scale final resort attack which serves as Smash's equivalent to super moves from various other fighting games. Smoke Ball, a small white ball which when thrown releases colourful smoke that can make it hard to see what's happening in the area the ball is currently in, with it also being possible for the smoke ball to stick onto fighters. and Timer, a clock which when grabbed causes all opponents to move at a quarter speed whilst the person who grabbed it still moves normally, though sometimes the item will backfire, causing the player who grabbed the item to move slower whilst everyone else stays the same, or everyone including the player who grabbed it moves slower. After that is the boss Gallium, an original boss created for the Subspace Emissary, which fights Ike, Marth, and Meta Knight in the wild, before then falling into the ruins where it then battles Lucas and Pokemon Trainer. In Ultimate, Gallium is fought in the base sub-area in World of Light, as well as Dark Pit, Snake, Rob, Wolf, Mega Man, King K. Rool, Min Min, and Sephiroth's Classic Mode routes. His attacks consist of stomping on the player, slamming the ground to create shockwaves, slamming his fists on both sides of him, a jet-propelled uppercut, a spinning attack that sucks players in, jumping high in the air before stomping back down, shooting missiles from its back, falling on top of the player, grabbing and crushing them, and transforming into a tank form either to shoot more missiles or charge across the stage and possibly fall from the ceiling. And to end things off, there's 12 spirits. Number 1094, Smash Ball, a 2-slot ace support spirit with the effect Chance of Double Final Smash. Despite not being implemented until Brawl, the idea for Final Smashes have actually been around since Smash 64, with them even recording lines for them, but due to technical limitations they couldn't be implemented at the time. The artwork is original to Smash Ultimate, which heavily overhauled a lot of Final Smashes to be universally faster and remove most of the player-controlled ones. Number 1098, Gallium, a 3-slot advanced primary neutral spirit with the effect Fist Attack Up. The art is original to Smash Ultimate, where within the game's classic mode, he's actually the most common boss outside of Master Hand and Crazy Hand. Number 1099, Duon, a 2-slot advanced primary attack spirit. A 2-sided robot that shares a set of wheels that serves as a boss in Subspace Emissary, fighting Peach, Sheik, Fox, Falco, Snake, and Lucario on the bridge of the Halberd, the creature being formed from the shadow bugs of a bunch of fake Mr. Game & Watches, with one side using sword attacks whilst the other uses various cannons. Number 1100, Taboo, a 3-slot legend primary neutral spirit with the effect PSI Attack Up, the final boss and true main antagonist of the Subspace Emissary, that plotted to convert areas from the world of trophies into his own orderly world by spreading his subspace army across the land and opening portals to his home that he embodies called Subspace, getting help by capturing and puppeting Master Hand in order to manipulate Bowser, Ganondorf, and Wario into doing his bidding. Number 1107, Fighting Alloy Team, a 1-slot advanced support spirit which lets you start the battle with a ray gun. The team of fighters from Brawl's rendition of the multi-man Smash modes, effectively serving as this entry's version of 64's Fighting Polygon Team and Melee's Fighting Wireframes, with each alloy reusing a different character's moveset. Red being Captain Falcon, blue is Zelda, yellow is Mario, and green is Kirby with Jigglypuff Puff's forward and up throw. Number 1108, Primid, a 2-slot novice primary neutral spirit. The most basic enemy type from Subspace Emissary being a ground soldier, which also features multiple variations, either holding a certain weapon, being able to shoot fire, or being either giant or metal. Number 1109, Might, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Lightweight. Small stickmen-like creatures that individually are fairly weak, but often come in large groups or spawn in mass from a generator. The artwork is from Smash for 3DS, where they can show up as an enemy in the game's Smash Run mode, behaving exactly the same as they did in Brawl. Number 1110, Bitons, a slotless novice primary grab spirit. Spherical enemies that come in multiple colours, which can multiply by spawning more of themselves from their eye and charge into players. Their artwork is also taken from Smash for 3DS, where they appear as a collectible trophy. Number 1111, Row Turret, a 2-slot novice primary neutral spirit. A stationary turret which attempts to spin itself around to shoot at the player using the 2 cannons on its side, with them also returning in Smash for 3DS's Smash Run mode. Number 1112, Shadowbug, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect trade-off attacks up. Purple snowflake-like particles which are used to create the Subspace Army, being embodiments of a mysterious primordial substance which originates from Mr. Game & Watch, with them also possessing the ability to create doppelgangers of fighters by swarming their trophy. Number 1113, Subspace Bomb, a 1-slot advanced support spirit which lets you start the battle with a bomber, the primary weapon of the Subspace Army, which when detonated drags its surroundings into subspace, with it requiring the sacrifice of 2 Rob units in order to start the countdown. And number 1114, Ancient Minister, a 2-slot ace primary neutral spirit, the initial titular antagonist of the Subspace Emissary who sets up the various subspace bombs, though later on in the story it's revealed he was only doing so under threats from Taboo, with him eventually betraying the other villains and reveals himself to be the original Rob unit after Ganondorf forces all the other robots to sacrifice themselves by detonating every remaining subspace bomb at once. During the reveal of the Wii U at E3 2011, Satoru Iwata would make mention of a new Smash game being made for the system, even though development on it hadn't even started yet, as Sakurai was still working on Kid Icarus Uprising at the time, with it entering active development in early 2012, it being handled by Sora Limited and Bandai Namco. After a year of silence, the entry would finally be revealed at E3 2013, and to most people's surprise, it would mark the first and so far only time a new Smash entry would see multiple versions, one for the 3DS and one for the Wii U, with each version being fittingly titled Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, though for simplicity's sake, most people collectively refer to both games as Smash 4, with both seeing release in late 2014. Whilst both renditions would feature the same character roster and gameplay, not only would certain modes be exclusive to each version, but they would also have different stage selections and collectibles that would focus on different parts of Nintendo's history, the 3DS version focusing on their history of handhelds, whilst the Wii U version prioritized their home console history, with Smash 4 also marking the series' first foray into updates and patches, as well as paid downloadable content, most famously incorporating a ballot in which fans could vote for who they wanted to see get added, ultimately ending with Bayonetta being added as the final DLC character for the game in early 2016. Even though Smash 4 tends to get relegated as the least interesting Smash game, it still managed to get good reviews when it came out, with the 3DS version managing to sell over 9.5 million copies, whilst the Wii U version sold over 5 million, making them the 8th and 4th best-selling games of their respective systems. Since Smash 4 was the last entry to release, along with also kind of being 2 games, it's technically speaking the most represented Smash game in Ultimate. To begin, we have fighters 51 to 53 Mii fighters. 3 fighter archetypes which utilize the Miis, Nintendo's avatar characters which have existed since the Wii, that serve the job as Smash's custom character, each one featuring 3 different options for each special move along with various hats and outfits to wear, with the character archetypes available being the Mii Brawler, which fights with punches and kicks, the blade-wielding Mii Sword Fighter, and the Mii Gunner, who comes equipped with an arm cannon. Next is the stage Big Battlefield, a modified version of Battlefield intended to be used for 8-player matches, the main differences being a wider base platform along with an additional 3 floating platforms. Then there's 23 music tracks, with Smash 4's main menu theme, Ultimate specifically using Smash 4 Wii U's rendition, which features additional instrumentation. Smash 4's Battlefield theme, the main theme for Smash 4's rendition of Final Destination, the alternate Final Destination theme, the song used for the game's multi-man Smash mode, Smash 4's credits theme, which is a medley consisting of Smash 4's main theme, Melee's menu theme, Melee's opening theme, the How to Play theme, and Brawl's main theme. The results screen music from Smash 4's Classic and All-Star mode, The song that plays after clearing Classic or All-Star mode. The song used after failing Classic or All-Star mode. The track used when fighting Master Hand and Crazy Hand. Theme which is used when battling the various forms of Master Core. The song from the first half of the Master Fortress battle. The song from the second half of the Master Fortress battle. The menu theme for the Master Orders mode. The Trophy Rush minigame theme. trophy shop theme. The theme for the gallery and hoard, both of which are where you view trophies. The track used whilst viewing replays, the album, and records. All-Star Mode's rest area theme. The online practice stage theme. The theme for Smash for 3DS's Street Smash minigame. The song which is used whilst viewing events and tourneys in Smash for Wii U. And the map theme from Smash for Wii U's Smash Tour mode. After that is the item Drill, a two-step item which first fires off a large drill which can land multiple hits to either do shield damage or potentially carry an enemy off stage, with the drill also being able to constantly hit a wall before exploding if it's fired towards one. Afterwards, the player can then throw the remaining base, which has a fairly large amount of knockback. Moving on, we then have 28 Mii costume pieces that were brought over from Smash 4, with a bear suit for Mii gunners, a biker outfit for brawlers, a bionic suit for brawlers, a business suit for all Mii fighters, a cat suit for brawlers, a cybernetic suit for sword fighters, a set of dragon-themed armor for gunners, a traditional fighter uniform for brawlers, a set of high-tech armor for gunners, a mecha suit for brawlers, a monkey suit for sword fighters, a ninja outfit for sword fighters, a pirate outfit for sword fighters, a set of protective gear for brawlers, a Smash Bros themed t-shirt for all Mii fighters, the standard outfit which is the default costume for all Mii fighters, a steampunk themed outfit for Mii gunners, a tracksuit for brawlers, a vampire outfit for brawlers, and a Wild West outfit for gunners. Lastly, there's 7 spirits. Number 1090, Mii Brawler, a fighter spirit. The artwork is original to Smash Ultimate, where the Mii fighters were rebalanced, most notably giving each class set attributes instead of basing them on the Mii's height and weight, with the Brawler being the fastest and lightest of the group at the cost of having the worst range. Number 1091, Mii Sword Fighter, a fighter spirit. The art is from Smash Ultimate, where they're the middle ground of the three, having average speed, weight, and range. Number 1092, Mii Gunner, a fighter spirit. Like the other Mii fighters, their art is from Smash Ultimate, where they round out the group by having the best range with their various projectiles, but are the slowest and heaviest of the group. Number 1101, Master Giant, a 2-slot ace primary grab spirit with the effect Speed Down. The first of various bosses that the player fights after weakening Master Hand and Crazy Hand in Classic mode. Showing up as the difficulty is at 7.5 or higher in the 3DS version, and 7.0 or higher in the Wii U version, it having the appearance of a large humanoid creature. Number 1102, Master Beast, a 1-slot ace primary shield spirit with the effect Wait Up. The next form after Master Giant, which looks like a quadruped with a scorpion-like tail, appearing either after Giant's defeat or acting as the first opponent after the hands if the intensity ranges from 6.0 to 7.4 in the 3DS version, or 6.0 to 6.9 in the Wii U version. Number 1103, Master Edges, a 1-slot ace primary attack spirit with the effect Sword Attack Up. Another master form which takes the appearance of 5 floating swords, which will fight the player either after Master Beast has been defeated or immediately after being the hands if the intensity ranges from 5.1 to 5.9. And number 1104, Master Core, a 3-slot legend primary neutral spirit with the effect initial damage 30%. The secret end boss of Smash 4's Classic mode, which erupts from Master Hand on higher difficulties, creating various forms from black particles to fight the player. In addition to the previously discussed Master Giant, Beast, and Edges, there's also Master Shadow, which is a clone of whoever you're playing as, including any equipment you have on, and is always fought after being Master Edges, as well as the Wii U exclusive Master Fortress, that shows up after being Master Shadow if the difficulty is at 8.0 or higher, it consisting of 2 waves of exploring a 2D level to destroy 4 weak points. At the end, the player is then tasked with damaging and KOing the actual core. Towards the end of Smash 4's post-launch support, Sakurai made mention that his next project had already been finalized and work would begin proper after a short holiday. This project would then be revealed at the end of a Nintendo Direct in March 2018, which announced a new Smash Bros. Game would be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Further details would then be shown at E3, revealing the game's title of Great Phrase Smash Bros. Special in Japan and internationally as Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Instead of overhauling the gameplay, it was instead decided to build off of Smash 4, the only major alteration being to increase the game speed, with this choice also being what led into the game's main selling point, that being the decision to bring back every single character from previous entries, with the marketing tagline of "Everyone is here," with the majority of newcomers being based on the results of Smash 4's fighter ballads to add heavily requested fan picks. Because of this and similar choices being made for the stage selection and soundtrack, Smash Ultimate would end up being the biggest game in the series, with nearly everything from previous games returning, along with a good amount of new stuff, which was further added to with the post-launch support of various Spirit Board events and 2 seasons worth of paid DLC, with Ultimate managing to sell over 36 million copies, making it not only the best-selling entry in the series, but the best-selling fighting game of all time, as well as the 3rd best-selling Switch game, only getting outsold by Animal Crossing New Horizons and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. As this is the game that this entire video series has revolved around, I don't think you'll be shocked to hear that there's quite a lot of content from Ultimate. To start things off, we have the stage Small Battlefield, another spin on Battlefield intended to be used for one-on-one matches, being a sort of middle ground for competitive play between regular Battlefield and Final Destination. The main change being the removal of the top floating platform, with the 2 remaining ones being pushed slightly closer to each other. After that, we've got 34 music tracks, with Lifelight, Ultimate's main theme, which plays during the opening, and the credits for World of Light's true ending, with it getting both a Japanese and English version. The game's main menu theme, Ultimate's Battlefield theme, Ultimate's Final Destination theme, for Mob Smash, Ultimate's version of Multi-Man Smash. The music that plays while selecting the starting difficulty for a classic mode run. The track that plays after getting defeated in classic mode or a spirit battle. The music that plays after beating a classic mode or a match in World of Light. The theme for classic mode's bonus stage. Master Hand's boss theme. Crazy Hand's boss theme. The theme for fighting both Master Hand and Crazy Hand. The Light Realm Prologue, the overworld theme during the early areas of the Light Realm in World of Light. Light Realm March, the theme for the later areas of the Light Realm. The Light Realm Base, the theme for the base sub-area. The Dark Realm, the theme for the Dark Realm map. The Dark Realm, the Mysterious Space, the theme for the Mysterious Dimension sub-area. The theme for the final battle, the final map for World of Light. Final battle after the transformation, the theme for the final battle map after Master Hand opens the path to the final boss fight. Gleam's boss theme. Darkon's boss theme. song which is used for the final stage of World of Light, which includes the final boss fight against both Galeem and Darkon. A piano solo rendition of Lifelight, which plays during World of Light's credits and after completing Classic Mode. The song that plays during the Free the Spirit minigame. The theme that's used whilst looking at the Spirit Collection. Theme for the Spirit's inventory. The track that plays between tourney matches. The song used when a tourney has its winner declared. Training mode theme. The song used whilst viewing The Vault. The shop theme, online practice match theme, and the spectate menu theme. Following that is 7 items, with the banana gun, a one-time use gun item which fires a slow-moving banana that deals 30% damage with high knockback, after which the leftover peel can be thrown just like the standalone banana peel item. Beast Ball, a baseball which when thrown will briefly disappear before teleporting near an enemy engulfed in blue flame. The opponent it teleports towards either being the nearest or the one it hits from the initial throw, the only way it doesn't teleport being if it either hits the ground before doing so or the player just drops it. Black Hole, when thrown it creates a large vacuum that pulls fighters, items and projectiles into its center for as long as it's active, and whilst it does no damage, it leaves the fighters it does grab vulnerable by putting them in a tumble state. Fake Smash Ball. Whilst this behaves similarly to the regular Smash Ball, if the decoy is destroyed, it'll explode in an X shape, dealing 36% damage and very strong knockback. Healing Field, a white bulb which when thrown onto the floor opens up to create a green circle that will constantly heal players standing in it, healing 2% of damage every half second for the player who threw it and 1% for everyone else. Healing Sprout, a small orb which will heal 1.6% of damage every half second for as long as the player is holding onto it. The item can also be thrown, in which case it sticks to players in a similar manner to the Gooey Bomb. And Rage Blaster, a variation of the ray gun which progressively becomes stronger the more damage the player firing it has taken, at the cost of the firing speed and startup lag becoming slower at the same rate. The shot's damage ranging from 1.6% at full health all the way up to 23% when the user is at 100% damage or higher. Then we've got 4 sets of Mii costumes, with a set for Mii gunners based on an astronaut spacesuit, an outfit for all Mii fighters based on a butler's suit, an outfit for all Mii fighters based on a maid's uniform, and a set for Mii gunners inspired by Special Forces military uniforms. Next up is 2 bosses, the first being Galeem, the Lord of Light that serves as one of the main antagonists for World of Light, having the end goal of covering the world in blinding light. Galeem can be fought at the end of the Light Realm after the player has at least defeated Giga Bowser, Gallium, Rathalos, and Master Hand, along with being a potential final boss at the end of the final battle. The only part of Galeem that takes damage is its core, and its attacks include creating up to 6 cross-shaped light bombs, turning its wings into multiple drill-like objects, shooting a large beam, creating a blue sphere which will then break apart into multiple smaller projectiles, split its core into multiple parts which then shoot projectiles, creating a series of shock waves, creating light waves that cover part of the screen, firing a homing explosive projectile, and creating multiple light false characters to battle the player. And the other is Darkon, the embodiment of chaos and darkness, who shows up partway through the story after the player initially defeats Galeem, with him taking the remaining fighters captive and creating a world of darkness. Darkon is fought in the Dark Realm after the player first defeats Ganon, Marx, Dracula, and Crazy Hand, along with being a potential final boss at the end of the final battle. The only part of Darkon that takes damage is its eye, with most of his attacks being slightly different versions of Galeem's, which include creating up to 6 X-shaped darkness bombs, creating red lines that slow down the player while stood in it, shooting a barrage of projectiles from the top left corner, which do more damage the closer the player gets to Darkon, attacking with a series of tentacle strikes, shooting his tentacles through a series of portals, creating a series of darkness beams, having a tentacle snake its way around the stage, covering the screen, covering parts of the screen with darkness waves, and creating multiple dark false characters to fight the player. In addition to these moves, both Galeem and Darkon gain one additional attack if the player pursues the option to defeat both of them, during which the entities will attempt to fight the player and each other, and when one gets stunned, the other will attack their weak spots, dealing massive damage to both them and the player if they get caught in the attack. Finally, there's 2 spirits. Number 1105, Galeem, a slotless legend primary neutral spirit with the effect Bane of Darkness. If the player chooses to defeat Galeem at the end, Darkon destroys his Master Hand army and chains up Galeem, resulting in the world getting covered in an inescapable void of darkness. And number 1106, Darkon, a slotless legend primary neutral spirit with the effect Bane of Light. Similarly, if the player chooses to defeat Darkon at the end, Galeem will proceed to cover the world in blinding light. However, if they manage to defeat both Galeem and Darkon at the same time, both armies will be destroyed and the universe cleansed of their influences. And with that, we've covered everything that originated from the Super Smash Bros. Series, and by extension, near enough everything featured in Ultimate. As for where Smash places in the overall rankings for most represented series, it comes in at 3rd place, only beaten by Pokemon and Super Mario. As for any future plans for covering Smash content, I do want to cover everything that wasn't brought over to Ultimate at some point, though if the Switch 2 ends up getting either a Smash 6 or an Ultimate Switch 2 edition with more content, I'll be more than happy to revive this video series. Until then though, thank you all so much for watching and supporting both this series and my channel in general over the years, and I hope you'll all stick around for whatever else I make. Until I next see you though, once again, thanks for watching.